Hi everyone, I'm Kay. Welcome to Bead Sisters. I'm so glad you found me. Welcome. You can sit in the good chair if you want, available for you. That was actually my parents' chair, just as an aside. And my aunt years ago talked about being with my mom when she was picking out, apparently it was custom. I mean, they picked their custom fabric. The whole chair wasn't custom, but she talked about picking out the fabric for her chair and all of that. So kind of a nice story with that chair, but you can sit in the good chair. It's not especially comfortable, but you're welcome to it. You can sit in the window seat too, it's good. Well, I hope that you are well. If you are in the path of Hurricane Ian, hopefully it will all be over and done and you're watching this later and everything will be fine. But if you are in its path and you're watching this, please be safe. I texted a friend today who is currently in, well, she's actually probably about back home now, but she lives in South Carolina, but her family, as well as her husband's family, live in Florida. So she had gone to help with some other family stuff last week and was on her way back this week. So she was trying to talk her mother-in-law into coming up, and I think she did, her mother-in-law, to come up and stay in South Carolina until after the storm. So hopefully they are home safe now, as I hope that you are safe. We're probably going to get a fair amount of rain from it, but it's going to pass over a good bit of land before it gets to us. So chances are it'll just make for kind of an icky rainy day for us. Well, it's almost the end of September. It's the 27th of September. Where did the month go? Is it just because I'm getting older? Time goes by so fast, and I just can't believe we're just a few days from the end of September. Are you ready? Are you ready for fall? Do you put up fall decorations? I did. And the other thing is getting ready for SAF. I did some SAF stuff today. That's the Southeast Animal Fiber Fair. It's coming up in just a few weeks. I got 0 sewing, 0 yarn dyeing done today, but I did do some SAF stuff. I verified my sales and use tax license for North Carolina, and I made a reservation, excuse me, for our RV to stay on the property that weekend. So I was really glad I got that done. The other thing is that I'm taking 2 classes. I was a little unsure if I was going to be able to do that. What I typically do, if I can, is go up on Thursday. That's there are classes that day and it's vendor setup that day. So I need to go at some point on Thursday. But what I normally do is get up at the absolute before the crack of dawn and get out of here and get on the way, get up there and take a class, usually starting about 9. And I'll take 1 or 2 classes, and then my husband drives up in our RV and helps me get the booth set up after the class is over. I think the classes that I'm taking, the afternoon class is over maybe at 3. So I should have several hours available to do that, and hopefully it won't take me very long. But anyway, I'm starting to get excited. It's coming up really soon. I have talked to a couple of friends who are planning to be there, so I'm really excited about that. If you're going to be there, please stop and say hi. If you are not, I am planning to have my SAF inventory that I'm working on now should be available on the Bead Sisters website starting the week of SAF. I think I'm going to make it available that probably Wednesday or Thursday of SAF week. And so you can join in if you want to shop. You can do that on the website. And if you're going to be there, please stop by the booth and say hi. It's okay if you're not buying anything. Just come by and say hello. I'd be happy to see you. Again, the website is beadsisters.com. I'm very excited to have a website. I invite you to come over and check it out. If you want to get in touch with me, you can email me at beadsisters@gmail.com. And I think that is all of that stuff that I wanted to tell you about SAF and so forth. Let's talk about something that I finished. I finished a thing. It's a hat. This hat, I will tell you about the pattern that I used. It's not even really a pattern, it's more of a recipe. But I had some yarn from an Icelandic sheep, and it's from my friend Claire of Blue River Icelandics. She raises Icelandic sheep in Nebraska. So that's where this creamy white came from. this greenish gray here and here are actually from Iceland. I got those in Iceland. I think I mentioned it last week. So I got those as little sample skeins at Ericstadur, which is kind of a living history site of the home of Eric the Red. And so they had some little samples of natural dyed yarn. So I grabbed a couple of those. And then the pom-pom was a door prize from the Rewind Retreat. So what I wanted was just a simple hat recipe that would allow me to use those yarns together. And I didn't really find what I was looking for. There were a few that were paid, but I wasn't really sure if it was going to work because this is a bulky yarn. It's Aran to bulky. And I needed something that was going to work with that. And some of those, I didn't think I had enough of this green. I may have, but I didn't think I had enough of these contrast colors. Anyway, what I found was somebody on Ravelry who had just done her own recipe for some hats that she made, and it used a bulky Lopi yarn. If you want to use this basic recipe, go to Abby Knit Joy, all together, Abby Knit Joy on Ravelry, and it's under her gopher hats, and I think that was the name of one of the yarns. But she did these cute little hats. It's just real simple hats. But she did the math for me, and I sent her a thank you note. I just a message on Ravelry and said, thank you so much for doing that. I really didn't want to have to do this math. So what she did was she cast on 64, and then she added 2. She cast on 64 to do a 2x2 rib, and then increased 2 for this section. What I did instead was to cast on 66. Just go straight to the number she was using here. And did 1 by 1. So very squishy and stretchy. And I think I did 10 rounds of rib and 5-ish of plain. Then I pulled in this one green. This was slightly darker than the other one. They were dyed the same way, but one was dyed longer. So I did about, how many ever rounds I had of that, about 8 rounds here. And then I striped in the other color. I had a little bit less of that, so I striped that. And then, let's see if I can get where you can see the decreases. And then it was knit 4, knit 2 together, knit a plain round. Knit 3, knit 2 together, and then a plain round. So there's simple decreases, but I think it looks nice. And then I added the little pom-pom. So, what do you think? Pretty happy with it. It's a little bit big, but honestly, I have a giant head, so it works. How's that? Pretty good? I was really glad to use this yarn in this hat. I really wanted to put it together in something color work, and I'm pretty pleased with that. If I had it to do over, I might make it a little smaller, but I think it'll be fine, and I like it. That's the only thing I finished. But I have something else in mind for my next project. With all of the stuff going on over the next few weeks, I needed a mindless project. I had something going. I had a sweater project going. I have another project that's more complicated going. And those are things that I can only work on if I've got time to sit down and concentrate. And I didn't particularly want to do another pair of vanilla socks. So I'm going back to one that I've done before, which is the Midas Hat. It's by Laura Reinbach. This has a folded brim, and I did my first folded brim hat with this Ukraine sunflower color work. And if I had thought about it, I would have entered this in the fair. I forgot I had it. I don't have the pattern on me right now. If I find it, I'll include it somewhere. But it's this beautiful color work, sunflower color work. This is my Leah's Blue, and I bought this from somebody, and I'm really happy about this one. But this is a worsted, I think, worsted or DK, and I love, love, love this folded brim, especially with color work, because it covers the floats. It keeps you from seeing any messiness, but it also protects them so they don't get caught on stuff. So this was my first experience with doing a folded brim. So you do a provisional cast on. You knit X number of rows, whatever it says, and then you do a purl round. I don't know if you can see it, but a purl round. And it's sort of like creasing a piece of paper to fold it. So it makes it fold nicely. You knit, how many ever you've knit up to then, you do that many more so that you have the exact same number. You fold it, do, I think it was a 3-needle bind off, and then just continue knitting. So this is double thickness, really kind of triple because it's got stranded color work. And then decreases. So I was really pleased with this hat. And it was fun to do. So this is kind of a fingering weight version of that. You, again, provisional cast on, knit how many ever rounds, do a purl round to give you kind of a, can you see it, kind of a crease. It works like that. Fold it, bind off, and keep going. So this is one I did a while back. Decreases are really pretty. Very simple, and for the most part, mindless knitting. Once you've got that provisional cast on going, it's just knit, knit, knit in the round. And the only issue is making sure you keep up with how many rows you've done, so you do the exact same number for the first part up to the fold as you do past the fold, so that it folds nicely. And you can see on the inside where it's folded, and then it's just a single layer knit past that. So I really enjoyed doing that. It's a nice way to show off some pretty yarn. And I pulled out a skein that I got in Savannah last spring from Ryan Yarn. Let's see if there's a colorway. Yeah, Picture of Dorian Gray is the colorway. There we go. It is 80/20 superwash nylon, 400 yards per 100 grams. So it's the twist sock base from Ryan Yarn. I've already caked it up, but look at those gorgeous grays and blues. That's pretty good, actually. Pretty good representation of that. I've wound that up. You can see I haven't started yet, but I would like to get that cast on, the provisional cast on, and get that started knitting so that I'm all set for just knitting in the round. This is in a bag that I made a few years ago that actually looks like it might need some washing. It's in a fabric that I think is out of print, the Ghastlies. Do you remember this from 5 to 10 years ago? Perfect for this time of year. You see those? Anyway, so it's in my Ghastlies bag. And I will be working on that when I have some spare time, which won't be very much, but I can at least have something fairly mindless to do. We are attending a family wedding this weekend, and it may be an interesting trip if Hurricane Ian makes its way this way. But my husband does not mind driving in bad weather, so I can just sit and knit. And I'm hoping that that'll give me a chance to get that going and just have something relaxing to do while we're driving. I have notes. I'm checking my notes. That is it for knitting right now, mainly because it's just a really busy time getting ready for SAF and such. The other thing that's going on is tomorrow, 24 hours from now, my daughter in Nebraska is going to be visiting. She's flying down tomorrow, and we're picking her up around lunchtime, and I'm really excited to see her. I've not seen her since February. We chat, but it's not quite the same as being able to give her a hug. So that's going to be happening tomorrow, and that's another thing that's keeping me busy. So not tons of knitting, but I am getting a little bit done. Let's talk about what else I've been doing if you're interested. It's homemaking sorts of things, but just not knitting. So if you're only here for the knitting, now's the time to head out, and we'll chat again soon. For other stuff, I have one more thing to make for the fair. I'm entering things in the state fair. It's not a ton, but I have 2 pairs of socks, a shawl, and a pair of fingerless mitts. Yeah, we've talked about that, right? I got this stuff ready. The other thing I want to make is, well, let me tell you what else I finished. Canning. This is what I did over the weekend. I'm entering 2 jellies. This is a pepper jelly made from the hot peppers that I grew. I picked all green ones, and then actually made this as a jelly. There's no bits of stuff in it. That's what distinguishes a jelly from a jam. Jelly is made just from the juice. There's no bits of fruit. So this is spicy, but it's not super hot. It is fabulous on something like crackers with cream cheese. I'm getting hungry thinking about it. So pepper jelly. I also made pepper jam, which I'm not entering in the fair, but it has bits of fruit. I think the recipe called it pepper relish, but it's really just a chopped up peppers mixed with the liquid, and there's vinegar and such in it. And that is super easy hors d'oeuvre sort of thing. That dumped over some cream cheese, served with crackers. It's excellent. The other thing I'm entering is muscadine jelly. This is made from fruit picked on our property. It grows wild. Muscadines, if you don't have them in your area, it's a wild grape. And anyway, it makes really delicious jelly. So muscadine. I think the purple ones are bullace, B-U-L-L-A-C-E maybe, bullaces. And the sort of champagne colored ones are scuppernongs. But anyway, I think they all qualify as muscadines. So muscadine jelly, those two things are going in the fair. The other thing that I'm going to try to get done, I will have to have it done because it has to be turned in no later than I think next Tuesday or Wednesday, is sewing, and it's a pillow. What I've done in the past is to create a quilt block and then use that to make a pillow. I try to pick a fall-ish or Christmas theme. This year I'm doing the maple leaf quilt block. I got these instructions from Sew, S-E-W, So Much More, M-O-R-E, So Much More. Anyway, this is where I'm headed with this. It's not terribly difficult. I don't think I'll have too much trouble with it, hopefully. And then I will turn that into an envelope style pillow cover, and I will just put that on one of my other pillows for the season once I get it back home. But that's my plan for my other state fair project that hopefully I will get done. We've talked a couple of times lately also about what I've been reading. I don't usually talk about what I'm watching because honestly, it's usually YouTube videos that are either knitting or true crime related. Those are some of the most common ones that I watch. But something that I've wanted to watch for a while but didn't have access, it was an HBO special from, I don't know, a couple of years ago, Chernobyl. I was looking to see if there's a date on here. 2019. And it is the story of what went wrong at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. My daughter noticed that it says R-rated. If there's too much swearing and naked people, then I won't watch it. But I'm hoping it's more documentary, and it's just that the subject matter is really intense. It's truly a fascinating story and tragic outcomes for a number of people. I read a book about that same time called Midnight in Chernobyl. I don't think these are directly related. To my knowledge, they're not. But they both tell the story of what happened at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. This, I checked, it came out, I think, in 2019. I'm going to double check here. Yeah, dated 2019. I read it, and then my son, who was then a senior in high school, also read it. And he had always been interested in chemistry, just as a subject. But reading this actually encouraged him to study chemistry with an eye to working in the nuclear power industry. Whether he will actually do that or not, I'm not sure, but he's got another year and a half of college. And that is still what he wants to do. He said it actually was encouraging to him about at least the potential safety of nuclear power. It can obviously be quite dangerous. However, it took a lot of things going wrong for the tragedy at Chernobyl to happen. He said it was not a good design. It was badly managed. It may have worked if they had once, even with the bad design, if it had been perfectly managed, it may have worked. But it took some people making some bad decisions to lead to this disaster. So he said it actually was very encouraging to him that if you are careful and if you follow the rules of a good design, it's actually one of the cleaner energy sources. It obviously leads to nuclear waste that must be managed, but it can be managed. It's not just automatically released into the air. It actually is contained as long as you take care to manage the nuclear waste. So anyway, it was really eye-opening to him as to how it works and how many things have to go wrong for there to be a resulting disaster. We'll see if that's what he ends up doing, but it definitely triggered an interest in him. So if the subject interests you, this book was really good. And I will have to let you know. I don't, if any of you have watched the HBO special when it was aired on HBO, you can let me know. But I will try to let you know what I think about this as a series to watch. I am still reading the John Grisham, The Judges List. I haven't gotten very far because, as we discussed, I fall asleep after I've read, at best, a chapter at night. So it's going to take me a while, but it's pretty good so far. I like the main character. Is it, forget her name. Is it Lacey? Lucy? I can't remember. But anyway, I do like her. She is, I think, a very likable main character. All right, everybody, that's, I think, everything on my list. Pretty sure. I am going to get out of here. I'm going to make dinner for my family. I'm going to clean off the very cluttered surface that you can't see. It's my sewing table, and I've got to get that cleared off so I can do some more sewing. Take care, everyone. Oh, I meant to mention, Bentley finished up his medicine yesterday for his injured paw, and I'm thinking it's looking pretty good. I'll keep an eye on it, and so hopefully he will be 100% before too long. He acts like he's fine. All right, once again, take care, everybody. Again, if you are in the path of the storm, be safe. I hope that it passes with no damage. But we'll take care of each other no matter what, right? All right, take care, everybody, and we'll chat again soon.